Hi Brownies and Sparks, this is Lucky Owl, just doing a little tutorial for you to show you how to make our little robots tonight. So in your little kit, you would have received a toothbrush head, a pipe cleaner, a cell battery, a motor. This is the motor. It has 2 wires on the end. Now just be careful because they are a little bit delicate, so don't be bending them or pulling on them right now, okay? So that's what it looks like. And then you should have some little sticky squares in there. That's gonna help us attach things. And then 2 optional little googly eyes. So to get started, we're gonna I'm just gonna move all that stuff aside. We're gonna just get started with the head of the toothbrush and just spread the bristles apart like this. This is just gonna give our guy a bit of a wider base. When we get our toothbrush, it's very stiff and it will probably make our guy fall over. So best thing to do first is just to pull out those bristles, pull them to the side, push on them, and make it a bit of a wider base. See how that's wider now? You can also do it this way, smush them down, and that will help widen it as well. So that's it. Now we're gonna set that aside. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our motor, and you're gonna notice there's two wires. There's a red side and there's a blue side. Now I believe everybody's is wired the same way as my motor, and the blue part of the wire is going to need to touch the positive side of our battery. That's the side of our battery that has the writing on it and that plus side at the top. The red side is going to need to touch the top of our battery. And that's the side that looks a little bumpy. It has the black ring around it. Okay? So I'll show you why in a minute. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. So first thing we're going to do is take off this little white piece here. This is a little sticker. It's just going to open up this adhesive part. So this is now sticky and we can put it right onto our toothbrush. So you can take it and put it on the front of your toothbrush up here. And then just push down on this part. And that should stick there pretty well. The next thing we're gonna do is take our foam stickers, and you just need to grab 2 of them. I'm just gonna grab them here. Whoops. Little fiddly things. Okay, so I just took 2 of them off. So this side is sticky. I'm gonna put that down on my toothbrush first. So just kind of lift up your wires, put them to the side, and stick down those little pads there. So I've got them both on there. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're just going to take off the top parts of the sticky, just so that it's sticky on top now. Okay? So now we got a sticky surface on top. It's stuck to the toothbrush there. And what we're going to do now is take our blue wire. Now remember, our blue wire is going to be touching the positive side to our battery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this part of the wire down here, and then I'm going to place the battery over top. So when you're putting your wire down here, you have to be a little bit careful. If you look, you can see the wire sticking out from the end here. Okay, we want that to be able to touch the battery. So if you push it down too far into this sticker here, it's not going to touch the battery, and then your little guy's not going to work. So not a big deal. It can be fixed, but just so you know, I've done some troubleshooting here already and figured that one out. So, so you're gonna put it down in the middle, but you kind of want, I don't know if you can see that. There you go. You kind of want that guy to stick up a little bit, just so it's not flat against and it's going to actually touch your battery. So what I did to do that was just touch the blue part of the wire so that the little metal piece went sticking up. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our battery. Whoops, slipped out of my fingers. We're going to take our battery, the side that says lithium cell and has the plus sign, we're going to put that part down onto the sticky side. So I know that you guys probably still have yours in the package, so we can pause the video for you to get that open. And then come back. So mine's stuck on there now. Hopefully that's going to be good enough, but we'll find out. So we're going to check and see if it's going to work now. So there's a positive side to a battery and there's a negative side to a battery. We know this because when we put batteries into things, they have to go in a certain way, right? Sometimes you've got to flip them around to make sure that your thing's gonna, your whatever, it could be a toy or whatever, is going to work so right, so that there we go. All right, so that's stuck on there good. So now we have our negative side of our battery sticking up, and this wire, it needs to connect or touch to this side. So I'm going to test it out first before I do anything else, just to make sure it's working. So if I touch this to the battery, the end motor here should start to buzz or vibrate. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. I don't know if you can hear it. Whoops. You can kind of hear it there. So now it's vibrating. So I know that's good. That's a good connection. I don't need to fix the guy on the bottom. He's obviously touching because when I touch this one up here, it's working. So now I'm going to take another one of these sticky things here. And, whoops, it's hard to do this with a video. And then I'm going to stick it over top of the metal piece of the wire there and part of the red so that it sticks to the top of the battery, okay? Hopefully you can see me do this. So now it stopped buzzing on me, so I must have done something wrong there. I think it's sticking in a bit too far. There we go, now it's buzzing. So you might have to play around with it. All right, so it should be working now. If it's not working, there's a couple things you can check. It could be, whoops, could be a few different things. It could be that the piece of wire at the end there isn't touching the battery on the top or the bottom. So if you have to recheck, not a big deal, because this will come right off. And I can have a look underneath. I can say, oh, maybe I need to make that stick up a bit more. I'll adjust that, and then I'll put my battery back on. It'll still stick. Maybe I need to adjust this guy a little bit. I can use my nail, pick it up a little bit, and then we'll try it again. And my guy's, he's still working there. If that's not it, you've tried that, you've tried it a few different ways, you might have to flip your battery over onto the other side. So your positive might need to be on the top. But I'm pretty sure I tested everybody's, and everybody's had the positive side sitting on the bottom with the blue wire. So shouldn't be that, but it is possible. A few of them were made up that way when I was playing around with them. So now if yours is working, you can set it down and test it out. So some of them will go in a straight line. Some of them will go around in circles like my guy is doing here. Most of mine go around in circles. It depends on where the weight is on him. So if you want him to do more of a straight line, you could try to push the bristles up this way a bit more, and it'll help him go more in a straight line. But that's basically it. So the next thing you can do, once your guy's all buzzing, you want him to stop buzzing, you just pull this back up away from the battery. But then you've got it here, you can always put it back down to start your eye up again. So now what I did next was, I like the antennas. If you like the eyeballs, you can certainly put them on. You can do it a few different ways. Obviously, this is completely up to you guys. This is just the part about making it look fun. You could put an eyeball here, you could put it on the side, wherever you want. Use your little foam stickers to stick them on. Or you could stick them to the top of your pipe cleaners, and I'll show you in a second how I'm going to attach that. Or you can leave them off completely. You might find that your little guy falls over a lot with the eyeballs. I tried them in a few different places, and they were falling over. He kept falling over for me, so I kept them off. But you might have some luck, depending on where you put it, to get him to stand up. And that's all about experimenting and testing it out. So what I did was I kind of flossed the pipe cleaner up between the bristles like this. And then gathered it at the top over the motor, made a couple of twists like this, and then you curl the end in, and it's a little bug. I made myself a little bug. So he's got one of his antennas a little shorter than the other one. That's okay. That's just like Finding Nemo with his little fin, right? Makes him special. So that's how I did my guy. But you could certainly leave them out bigger. You could add eyeballs onto the end of those. Whatever you want. You could put the eyeballs there. Like I said, you can put them wherever you want. Just play around with it. And every time you put the wire back on, just check that he's not going to fall over. Because sometimes he can be a little top heavy. And that's that. You now have your little mini Bristlebot. And that's all. I hope you guys had fun making your Bristlebots. If you had any problems at all, just send me an email and I'd be happy to help troubleshoot. Just remember that when you're finished with them, that you hand them off to a grown-up so that they can be stored somewhere safe and out of reach of pets and babies or younger siblings. We don't want them eating any of the parts on there because it can be very dangerous for them. Awesome. I hope you had a great time making your Bristlebots. I'll leave you with a screenshot of some of the words that we learned. So for example, sensors are something that will enable a robot to collect information, something like a microphone to pick up sound, cameras to let the robot see, sensors to register light and feel temperature or pressure changes. Obviously our little robot did not have that. Controller is another word, so that's the computer inside of a robot. It functions as its brain, and it's how you can communicate with the robot by programming it and giving it commands. We discussed what a circuit board was, which is something that houses the controller and the connections, allows the robot's controller to talk to all its parts, kind of connects everything together. Now our little Bristlebots aren't sophisticated enough to have sensors or a controller or a circuit board, but it does have effectors and actuators. An effector is the part of the robot that does the work. So with ours, with a robot, it could be wheels for it to move around or arms. With ours, it's sort of the bristles on the end of our brush. It helps it kind of walk around and move around on a flat surface. And an actuator is what makes the robot actually move. So in our case, that's our little vibrating motor. It helps power our robot and make it move across the floor. And finally, we had a look at some questions to test our robotic knowledge. So the first question was, word robot comes from the Slavic word robota, which means forced labor, and was created by a Czech playwright in 1921. The answer for that is actually true. The next one, scientists have created the first robot with human feelings. It can fall in love, feel sadness, and occasionally get really mad. The answer for that one was false, but that scientists are working on it to try to make something that can do that. Number 3, scientists and engineers have created an artificial robotic arm that can play the drums and even come up with its own beats. This is actually true, and you can watch this if you have Disney Plus, and Jeff Goldblum, if you search for him on there, he sings with a robot on one of his episodes. Number 4 is true. It's believed that the first robot was created in 350 BC by an ancient Greek scholar. It was a mechanical, air-powered bird. Number 5, one of the most recent inventions in robotics is a robot that's powered entirely by cheese called Chedarbot. That one's false, unfortunately. But there is a robot in Japan that can determine what type of cheese it's looking at. The very last question is true or false. Today, researchers are working on robots that can heal and adapt after an injury the same way animals can. Now, the answer to that was true, but it didn't elaborate much on that. So I promised that I would take a look online and see if I could find what that actually meant and what that would look like. I love that we get to ask these questions, and I found a really fascinating video that explained it in detail, and I sent it along as a link with this video in the email, so you guys can have a look at it. It's about 10 minutes long, so it is a bit of a long video, but I promise you it is pretty cool. That's it from me. Take care, and we'll see you next meeting.